Easy. EU trade deal sorted in 10 minutes if this happens, claims ex-Tory Shadow Chancellor. Speaking on a program last night, the Conservative politician insisted that a trade deal could be done very quickly if the EU was willing to cooperate with the UK. The UK has less than 18 months before it leaves the Brussels Club to come up with an agreement, but trade deals with the EU take a notoriously long time to complete, even as protracted as 8 years in some cases. On the nightly news show, Mr. Lilley said, "Because the Canadian agreement took 8 years to negotiate doesn't mean it would take a very long time for us to negotiate something similar. The Canadians started off with 10,000 different tariff lines, the EU had 15,000 different tariffs. We start with 0 tariffs. We want to end with 0 tariffs. That takes 10 minutes. Trade discussion between the two negotiating partners is due to begin at the start of the new year after Phase 1 of the Brexit talks were concluded last week. The conclusion of Phase 1 means that an agreement on citizens' rights, the divorce bill, and the Ireland border have all been reached. It took the two sides far longer to come to an agreement on the terms of Phase 1 than originally anticipated. Mr. Lilley suggested the organization's willingness to punish the UK for Brexit could stop a bespoke trade deal from being reached. On the nightly news show, Mr. Lilley said, "If we don't get a trade deal will be because the EU doesn't want it, and therefore the way they will engineer that is by saying you can have free trade but on conditions that you won't be able to accept, like being subordinate to the European Court of Justice or paying money or accepting free movement." Brexit Secretary David Davis has described his favoured deal from negotiations with Brussels to be based on the best of the deals already in place with other countries around the world. On Sunday's Andrew Marr show he said, "What we want is a bespoke outcome. We'll probably start with the best of Canada, the best of Japan and the best of South Korea, and then add to that the bits that are missing, which is services," he said. Canada plus would be one way of putting it. A large issue for voters in the 2016 referendum was immigration, and the desire to end free movement. However, it has been reported that the EU is unwilling to compromise by giving Britain the benefits of some parts of the single market without accepting the ability for mass immigration that comes with it. The UK has less than 18 months before it leaves the Brussels Club to come up with an agreement, but trade deals with the EU take a notoriously long time to complete, taking as long as 8 years in some cases. The former St Albans MP said, "It will be better for Britain, as indeed it will be better for Europe if we end up with something like the government's aiming for. Unless both parties involved in the negotiation make progress quickly on Phase 2, it could be possible for the UK to leave the EU with no trade deals struck at all."